Hello everyone. In this video, let's talk about choosing a rubber for a disruptive game at the table. Let's say you want to primarily play close to the table. On one side of your racket, you have an inverted rubber or short pips, and on the other side, you want to execute tricky blocks, disrupt the pace, distribute balls to corners, slow down the game, and then attack at opportune moments. In some situations, you'll need to step back a couple of steps from the table and then return. In other situations, you might have to step back further and defend. Ultimately, you'd like to play primarily close to the table and have your game vary between disruptive and attacking styles. And you've poured yourself something pleasant into a glass or a refreshing drink and started thinking. Should you go for long pips with a sponge or without a sponge? Okay, let's think it through. Suppose you have long pips with a sponge. What can you do with them? Essentially the same as pips without a sponge. But there's a difference in control, in the risk of making mistakes, in comfort, and so on. If you have long pips with a sponge, the first thing that will be easier for you to do is counter drives. You stand close to the table and frequently perform counter drives. You can also do this with long pips without a sponge, but there's a higher risk of missing the table. So if you want to make counter drives frequently, then definitely your choice should be long pips with a sponge. By the way, while we are making interesting and useful videos and reviews for you, visit our TT Maximum store more often for purchases. It would be the best way to thank us for our videos. And next, which specific pips to choose and what thickness of sponge? I recommend choosing pips with low to medium friction. Avoid pips with high friction. They might make counter driving easier, but blocking topspins close to the table will be difficult. After block, the balls will often fly high and off the table. Here are good options for pips that you can choose from. They have different characteristics, so definitely read reviews or at least the product specifications to understand what suits your needs best. If you're not experienced in this style of play yet, choose a thin sponge from 0.5 mm to 0.8 mm. Thicker sponges are more comfortable for attacking but also faster, requiring better technique. Once you've mastered this style of play confidently, you can opt for a thicker sponge if you want to increase speed. Furthermore, why choose long pips with a sponge for playing close to the table? If you want to play at a faster pace than possible with pips without a sponge. This relates to the previous aspect, as a faster pace close to the table involves counter drives. With a sponge, the pace will be faster. The thicker the sponge, the higher the speed you can achieve. By the way, while I'm giving you all this information, please click like and then subscribe. The more likes you give us, the more disruptive your pips will be. But no guarantees. By the way, I have a good announcement for you, especially for those who remember and love frictionless pips. Super Block is almost back. Yes, I'm talking about long pips without friction. These lovely destructive pips were gone forever, but now they are back. But more on that later. And now let's discuss the advantages of pips without a sponge compared to with a sponge, specifically for playing close to the table. First, it's the destructive effect of the pips. This is when, after the pips, the ball flies and twitches in the air. It might sharply drop, fly slowly straight, then bounce low, or bounce off in an unusual manner. If you enjoy creating such chaos during play, then you should choose pips without a sponge. These could be pips with low or medium friction. You can choose any speed. I once really liked slow pips. I played with pleasure. Then I tried much faster pips, played for a couple of hours, got used and found that I also enjoy playing with them. It's just a different game, and you need to play differently with fast pips. If your priority is a disruptive game, if you want to play as disruptively as possible and break your opponent's game, then choose fast pips with low grip. If you're still uncertain or just want more control, choose slower pips with medium grip. Furthermore, pips without a sponge allow you to tear the pace of the game more. The contrast between fast and slow play will be greater. With OX, the game slows stronger. With long pips without a sponge, you make much fewer counter drives and instead perform aggressive pushing with different movements on the table, and blocking more often. Your game becomes slower, more passive. You attack less in force and more often push, shorten the ball trajectory. In other words, your game becomes less power-oriented, looks less aggressive. It becomes more tactical, more cunning. If you prefer a faster rhythm and want to press your opponent more frequently with speed combined with disruption, choose long pips with a sponge. If you want to constantly disrupt your attacking opponent and make them glitch, hang, and lose their attacking momentum, then choose long pips without a sponge. If you want to make destructive blocks, choose pips without a sponge. If you want the ball to linger longer on your pips and you have more options to handle it and direct it where you want, then choose with a sponge. And now let's talk about frictionless long pips. Yes, they are back, hooray! No, Dr. Neubauer didn't start making Super Block, Inferno, and Scalpel again. But that's okay. The Chinese company Dowei has started making no-friction long pips. Currently, we have 2 types of such pips in our store. You can see them on the screen now. So come on in, dear pips enthusiasts, and make your purchases. We've already reviewed Monster. And we're testing Super Block and planning a review. You can find the basic information about it via the link. For those who don't know what no-friction long pips are, I recommend reading about them online. They are a type of long pips, but they have not grip. Well, it's there, but very slight, resulting in the pips not reacting to spin, providing a much stronger spin reverse and generally producing especially funny effects. These pips were once very popular until they stopped making them altogether. With skillful play, you can achieve a very disruptive game with these pips. So if you like that style, you should definitely give frictionless pips a try at least once. They are a rubber specifically for a very disruptive game at the table, not for defense. That's all for now. If you have any questions on this topic, feel free to ask them in the comments under the video. Bye everyone.